Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
Imagine making a difference. No, imagine being the difference. The difference between I can't and I can, or I won't and I will. The reason someone chooses to wake up and strive for greatness. In life, it can feel like everything is working against you. Let's defy all odds and break generational curses. This is Overstepping Poverty with Daquan and Zachaeus. Welcome back to Overstepping Poverty, the podcast that provides you with tips, tricks, and hacks in overstepping poverty. My name is Daquan Brooks, and I'm here with my co-host Zachaeus. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. It's another great day. I'm 6 feet above the earth, not 6 feet below it, so
there you go.
I feel good.
We just got to celebrate your birthday this past weekend, man. Happy birthday.
Thank you. 29, man. 29 trips around the sun. 365 days a year.
Yes, sir.
It feels good. I'm almost to 30, and I've got some plans before 30, and this is one of them that I'm reaching my goals, you know.
Yeah.
So
I love to hear that, bro. Yeah, I'm happy to be able to celebrate that with you, give you your flowers. I know you care a lot and you do a lot, and there's a lot that you give. So, and that's actually what we're going to be talking about today. The topic for our podcast and episode today is the giver's gain.
Okay.
So let's hop into it real quick. For you, Daquan, I want you to kind of tell me and explain to us, what is the giver's gain? Like, what does that mean to you?
To me, it actually can mean something completely different to what it may mean to other people. To me, I think it's where you are able to give so much unconsciously by not really like knowing that you're doing it, but it's just like a mentality that you have, whether it's giving something physically, giving something emotionally, giving something as far as like intentionally to just ensure that someone else is receiving something and you're actually not receiving anything in return. It's just you give so much that at some point in time, that return just comes around. It's kind of like what we discussed in our last episode as far as like paying it forward. Eventually, someone's gonna, as you continue to pay it forward, that next person's gonna pay it forward, and it's gonna come around full circle. So I think like in a general aspect, most people will say giver's gain. You'll receive that like in one huge thing is going to be like networking. So if you network with someone and you continue to send them leads, you continue to help their business, eventually your business is going to be helped in return as well. I'm assuming yours is probably similar to the same definition that I gave it, or what do you?
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. When I think of the giver's gain or the Go Giver, I get my thought process really from the book that I read, The Go Giver. It's a great book. I recommend anybody go listen to it or read it. But it's the idea that the more that you give, the more that you'll receive. If we can change our mindset when going into relationships or situations from thinking, what can I get from this person? And changing that to, what can I give to this person? The more willing you are to give to people, they feel indebted because of how nice of the gesture was, or, you know, how you made them feel. So it's really a way of life, I think, when it comes to the Go Giver and that philosophy of just understanding that energy cannot be destroyed, right? It's transferred. So when you're giving out positive energy, the law of attraction tells you that at some point you have to receive that. You know, the more that you give, the more that you get. So yeah, just going at it with that mindset is really what it means for me.
Absolutely. And in that giver's gain mentality, you kind of recognize like the power of generosity and like building meaningful relationships, you know, through, I mean, plenty of acts of like pretty much kindness and selflessness, you know? Yeah. So that power, it's translated, like you were saying, it's that energy that's passed from one person to the next, and it continues to be passed to the next person. And that's how you make these huge organizations, these huge inner circles, these huge groups, that because as you continue to give, they continue to give, and you end up receiving. And most people, what they think about is when are they going to receive something from that person? But the true natural way of this is not caring when you're going to actually receive it, but just randomness. You'll receive something much bigger than what you gave. And that's what I like about that mentality. And that's why we're going to discuss this and really deep dive into how it'll be beneficial to our viewers to have this mentality and not just us. Because what we're doing here is we're definitely giving. In a podcast, the only thing that we really want back from our viewers is more of just, I don't care about the reviews. I don't care about the likes. I don't care about the retweets that they give me or anything like that. What I truly care about is it making a change in their lives? Yeah. And so that's the nice thing about this, which actually brings me into my next question for you is, as our viewers continue to watch our shows and they continue to grab the intellect that we're giving them, how would you say it's beneficial for someone to change in their life, how to like truly give without wanting anything in return? How can someone do that?
How can they change and get into that mindset?
Absolutely.
You have to believe that when you're intentionally giving and doing that and changing that mindset, you have to actually believe that there is something better coming. You have to trust it. It's like having faith in something, You're having faith that the good deeds and the good energy that you're putting out into the world, you're having faith that those things are going to come back to you tenfold, right? So I think that's the first thing. The second thing is go volunteer. Go do something for somebody and tell me how you feel after, right? Like, we've made money before. We've won games, done a lot of things, bought a house, got married. That's a great feeling. But nothing feels better than when you've helped somebody, when you've given to somebody that is maybe in a less fortunate position than you and you see the smile on their face. That's how you know that giving is super powerful, because you can tell that they haven't received that. I've said it before. If you send somebody a text that you haven't talked to in a while and just tell them, hey, have a good day, good morning, a lot of times they feel appreciative because they don't get stuff like that. People don't give enough. People are so wrapped up into their world that it's hard to take a step back and realize that life is short. Relationships are the most important. And when you can give to people and they start to feel it, you see the change. So I want to flip this back and ask you a question, and I can chime in on it too. When you are adapting this philosophy, I think it's important that you set boundaries for yourself, right? And as people keep and follow along with this podcast, they'll realize from the first episode on is helping people build a strong foundation, right? So by this time, when they're listening to this, they'll have worked on these other things. When should you know, or how do you know when it's appropriate to be, I guess, giving? I don't think people should be overextending themselves. So can you touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what it sounds like is what you're asking me is, at one point, should you draw the line of that you may be giving too much of yourself? And it kind of ties back into your energy. When you really, really, really start to feel just emotionally drained, mentally drained, it's time to maybe take a step back and refill your cup. You've done so much to fill other people's cups, and you have to understand that you are truly the most important. Because if you're not here, if you're not healthy, if you're not able to give, if you have no money to give, or you don't have any time to give, then what does that matter? It's very important that you really know that your energy level, that your cup is filled first, and then you can give. What I really enjoy about celebrities is when they start to give back to like charity or foundation. NFL, a lot of those in their contracts, they actually have to be involved in these things. And I love it about it just because they're very fortunate to be in the positions that they're in. We're very fortunate to be in the positions that we're in. And so now what we can do is not only are we able to give time currently now, but eventually we would like to take a step forward into our community and try and give, whether it's money, clothing, anything, something more than what we're giving right now, because that's what we're about. But to really just answer that question, what you asked there is when you feel like your cup is empty, it's probably time to take a step back, refill your cup. And then that's when you can truly give the most that you can. Because if you've got nothing and you've got nothing to give, even though you want to, I mean, you give your time, but then that does take energy. But if you have nothing to give, then it tends to not be as beneficial to others. And I'm not saying that you need to be in a place of power to give or anything like that, but you just have to be in a place of mentally, emotionally, physically, you can actually fully give.
I mean, we always need to remember that we are the most important people in our lives. You yourself are the most important person in your life, right?
Right.
So when you start to feel yourself, like you said, taking some hits and not feeling right, then you have to take care of yourself first. But that's maturing. You're going to go through burnouts. And I think you're going to go through those things to learn what your body can actually take, right? So a lot of times we do have to push the limits to see how far we can actually go with things. I don't think you'll ever regret in the long run giving some of your time, giving your energy, helping people when they're in need as just a person of who you are. I think everybody has that good person inside of them that can put other people's emotions and feel those emotions and just understand that when it's appropriate, when it's not, and also understand when you're being used and stuff like that. So,
right. So, Zach, this actually brings me to our next question. I think we really answered the last one in depth. Our viewers can really relate to what we're saying, and they really know exactly what we mean by saying like energy and whatnot. So that actually brings me into how can we relate this really to abundance? What does that mean to you as far as the giver's gain?
When you think about abundance, or at least when I think about abundance, I think of having a large quantity of something, a large amount of something, whether that's love, money, food, whatever, right? And I think that's actually something that can also help people when they're trying to have more of a giving mentality, the goal giver mindset, is understanding that we live in a world where there's an abundance of everything. Yes, there's things that we lack sometimes, but for the most part, especially here in America, people have abilities to get pretty much whatever they want, right? Whether that's water, food, clothings. And I understand that there's people that do actually go without that. But when you change your mindset and have a mindset that there's enough for everybody, relating it to sales, there's people that are mortgage lenders in Sioux Falls that I meet with, I talk with, I will give ideas to. They can give ideas to me. And I do that because, for one, I like the camaraderie. We're in this together. We're going through the same markets. We're doing the same thing. But I actually think there's enough out here for all of us to be successful. There's nothing that another lender is going to be able to do to take money out of my pocket, because I feel like there's enough for everybody. When you have that mindset of abundance, you can never go without. You know that there's more out there. You just got to go get it, right? So that's what abundance means to me. I think it's something that people should really think about and figure out, what does abundance mean to them? Because when you feel like there's always going to be enough, it's easy to start moving and doing things that you want to do.
Absolutely.
What do you think about abundance?
I feel like you answered that perfectly. Now, abundance, like you said, it's a lot. And I feel like it can be overwhelming as well when you hear abundance. I want to give in abundance, and some people don't have that much to give. So it kind of just relates back to exactly what kind of situation that you're in. You can either give abundance of money, you can give abundance of time, you can give abundance of just energy. I mean, really anything that you can give in abundance, I guarantee you whoever's on the opposite end is very likely willing and wanting to receive that. When we're discussing giving, we want our viewers to really know that you don't have to just give an object. You know, you don't have to give money to be able to help someone. That's one thing that you can give to help someone, but there's quite a bit more that you can give to really, really help someone grow.
Especially time.
Absolutely.
Time's got to be the most valuable one.
Yeah, because it's one thing you can't give back. So if you can give that, then I feel like you're truly dedicated into that giver's game mentality.
Yeah. I think more people should adapt that. Like, with the abundance mindset, once you start changing your mindset and that's the way that you're starting to think, like, go out and go find somebody that needs that knowledge, you know, like, each one teach one. Every time you teach something or you learn something, you should be going to teach that to somebody. Mm-hmm. Not only does that make you smarter, because you're teaching the information that you just learned, but you're also giving to other people. It's exactly what we're doing now. Over the last few years, we've gone through and we've learned a lot of stuff about self, about business, about the podcasts, anything, right? How to live through a pandemic.
Right.
A lot of different things. And it's so important that we give the knowledge. That's another thing. A lot of people gatekeep the knowledge that they get.
Right.
Because they don't want other people to take what they want. They don't have a mind of abundance. They're greedy. They're selfish. And they don't want to give anybody an opportunity to do better than them, when that's all I want to see. Because I feel like if I'm helping somebody get to a better spot, it's only going to benefit me and them and everybody else involved. So let's all eat.
Right.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you can't get to the top just by yourself. You really can't. And so you need a good group of people around you who are just as knowledgeable as you. And say you are more knowledgeable than the person that's next to you, you need to really teach them, give them that knowledge to be on your same level. And then what happens is, as they continue to learn, they're going to continue to teach you, like you said, and you're going to continue to teach them. And I mean, at some point, you're just going to become unstoppable. And that's what we're here for. And that's what this podcast is about, being unstoppable, being able to take that next step over anything. So that actually takes me to the next part of our episode, where we share with you guys 5 tips, tricks, and hacks as far as overstepping poverty. Now, we discuss the go-giver mentality, and so I really want to relate to that. And I'd like to discuss exactly what those laws are to abide by, to really stand and have that concept of the go-giver mentality.
Yeah, I'll go first. And I also want to, again, reference The Go-Giver, the book. It's by Bob Berg and John Mann. And the first law, there's 5 laws. The first law is the law of value. It says your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. I referenced this on the last podcast, where I mentioned how in my early 20s, I had the mindset of I'm only doing what I'm paid to do. I'm not doing anything more. And I also talked about how that stunted my growth, and I had to change that mindset. So give more than you get.
Absolutely. And next there is going to be the law of compensation. Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them.
Yeah.
So in that, it doesn't ever discuss really, when someone hears compensation, they think money. Okay. Well, it doesn't discuss that at all. It discusses how well you serve someone, and how you're able to help them, and the way that you truly get something from that, and how truly you're going to be compensated by how you serve someone is, really their appreciation. And what's going to happen is they're going to tell the word of mouth, the best way to really market yourself.
Right.
They're going to tell the next person exactly how you made them feel and what you did for them, rather than, oh yeah, he got $1 out of my pocket.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. So the law of compensation, definitely something to live by.
Yeah. The third one is the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Again, we have the power to influence people in every aspect of our life, especially when you're mentally and emotionally mature. You're able to understand how your presence alone can help people get to where they need to go, and also help you at the same time.
Absolutely. You know, this next one I actually really like because we discussed it a lot in our last episode, and that's the law of authenticity. And the most valuable gift that you can give or offer is yourself. We discussed in our last episode that the real version of you is the best version to give because everyone knows just how authentic you are. They can really relate to someone that's being themselves all the time, not just themselves in a certain situation. So the law of authenticity, again, be yourself, offer your true self, and I guarantee you will get something in return as well.
Yeah. Then the final one is the law of receptivity. The key to effective giving is staying open to receiving. And we didn't touch on that, I don't think, enough, honestly. Like I said, with the law of attraction, you're giving, but if you're not open to receiving, you're not going to receive anything. When somebody gives you a compliment, accept it. Oh, thank you. Don't deflect it. Don't block it. When somebody's trying to help you, let them. You don't have to have too much pride to admit you might need a little bit of help or just to receive help just because. Allow yourself to be able to receive those gifts that you're giving others on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast. Again, today we touched base on the giver's gain. It is so important to us that you guys understand that the more that you give, down the road you will receive. Again, my name is Daquan Brooks, and this is Overstepping Poverty with
Zachaeus.
We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Overstepping Poverty. We hope you found this week's discussion informative and thought-provoking. We know that tackling poverty is a complex issue, but by working together and understanding the root causes, we can make progress towards creating a more equitable society. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to our show. Until next time, let's take the next steps in Overstepping Poverty.